You don't have to face yourself. You don't have to face your demons because you're distracted by the external world. Solitude helps you focus on the internal world, which is where transformation happens. It's where growth happens. There's like a meme, oh, men will do anything instead of go to therapy. Men can't just sit around and talk about their emotions and their problems and their issues. They need to do things. They have to take actions so that they feel useful and they feel competent and powerful. This is how a man improves his mental health. Sitting, talking, it's not really pushing you. You need to be at the edge of what you're capable of and pushing beyond that. That is what makes you feel like a man. That's what makes you feel powerful. That's what improves your mental health as a man. Okay, setup is perfect, I think. Everything is lined up. I got the mic, camera, my plant, Eugene. It's nice to have green. When I'm looking at apartments, I move around a lot, and I tend to choose a green view over having a small balcony. Because I've had balconies and patios, small and large, in the past, and you can't use them year round. Like in the winter, it's not really, it's kind of useless. And if people need to smoke, I have a office and with a huge window, I open the window. There's another tree from that side as well. But yeah, trees, mental health, good for you. So today's topic, why solitude might just be your best friend when your woman leaves you. You're going through a breakup, you're heartbroken, your life got flipped upside down because of external conditions that you don't have control over. It's painful to be in solitude, but this is actually the best thing you could do. I know when my wife left me, we were living together, obviously. But not only that, we both worked from home together. So we were business partners, and we were married, and we were best friends. So we're constantly hanging out for 12 years, all day, every day. And then to go from that to constantly having someone there, your soulmate, your life partner, to suddenly being alone. It was a very difficult, arduous transition. And like I mentioned previously, I had two roommates. I was helping a person from Ukraine because the Ukraine war was popped off at the pretty much the same day that Putin invaded Ukraine. My wife decided she wanted a divorce. My friend was helping people on the border of Hungary and Ukraine, and he picked up this guy, and I told him I have this huge apartment, my wife is gone, it's just me here and the dogs. And then my best friend was also going through a breakup. I hadn't seen him in months. He was out of the country. And he came and stayed with me, so it was like 3 dudes. Plus I had a new woman, my ex-wife's friend, who was there to console me and help me. But I had to end that because it felt very strange. It felt like way too quickly this new woman was like taking the place of my wife. I hadn't even moved out of our apartment, and there was a new woman. And while it was nice, and it did comfort me and temporarily relieve some of the stress and pain, the emotional pain from the breakup. It's just a quick Band-Aid solution. It doesn't actually address any of the issues. You have to sit in the fire of the pain. You have to be in solitude and not distract yourself, because other people are actually a distraction from the pain. They're not helping you heal and resolve the issues. It wasn't until I moved out of that apartment into my own place, the first apartment I've ever had on my own. And at this point, I'm 32 years old, never lived alone in my life. And now I have no roommates, it's just me and my dogs. And I can finally be in solitude and process these emotions, process this grief and loss that I feel. And that's what really changed things. It's what put me on the path to a transformation. And that transformation was going from being a weak man to a strong man. From a person who requires the external world to make me feel happy and good and fulfilled. And I transformed into a person who gets everything from the inside, internally. So through solitude, I was able to build a rich inner world. I was able to become self-reliant, to learn how to self-soothe, how to structure my life so that I'm advancing and so that I feel capable and useful. This is a huge difference between men's mental health and women's mental health. Women actually benefit from just sitting and talking to people, to their friends, to a therapist. Therapy is largely for women. There's like a meme, oh, men will do anything instead of go to therapy. And that's because therapy really doesn't work for men. Men can't just sit around and talk about their emotions and their problems and their issues. They need to do things. They have to take actions so that they feel useful and they feel competent and powerful. This is how a man improves his mental health, by action. Sitting and talking is not the kind of action. It's through lifting weights, it's through fasting and exercising in nature, through reading and writing and self-reflection, meditation, doing hard things, things that are difficult physically, mentally, things that push you. Sitting, talking, it's not really pushing you. You need to be at the edge of what you're capable of and pushing beyond that. That is what makes you feel like a man. That's what makes you feel powerful. That's what improves your mental health as a man. So subscribe to this channel for more men's mental health education, because that's what I'm here to do. I knew nothing about, first of all, I knew nothing about mental health in general before my divorce. And then as I was learning about mental health, I realized there's a sharp distinction between men's mental health and women's mental health. And it just gets combined, and men get the same advice to improve their mental health that women get. But it doesn't work like that. We're different. Our brains are different. Our biology is different. So I'm here to give advice to men because I'm a man. I'm a man who improved my mental health. I'm a man who transformed from weak and dependent into strong, independent, self-reliant. And it took years, it took a lot of work, self-work. I just consider my whole life to be self-work at this point. Everything I do is self-work, basically. I don't do things, I mean, of course, there's idle times. I'm sure I waste some time here and there not working on myself, just like consuming like garbage short form content. I probably do that occasionally. But I used to live my life in a constant state of consuming and just instant gratification, comfort, pleasure for over a decade. And yeah, I went to the gym here and there. I would set goals and not and not do anything to try to achieve the goals. And it took this devastating breakup, this painful period of grief and loss and suffering. That's what it took. Let's talk about the pain of solitude. Most men, when a woman dumps them, when the love of their life leaves them and rejects them, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating, but they don't confront the pain. They don't sit in it. They distract themselves. They try to numb the pain. They try to get away from it instead of embracing the suffering, embracing the pain of solitude, and allowing it to transform you. When my wife of 12 years left me, I couldn't sleep for weeks. I really couldn't. And not sleeping, it's worse than anything. It's worse than drugs or alcohol or any bad habits you can do, is just not getting good sleep. It messes up your life, it messes up your mental health, and you just feel terrible. I think a large portion of the pain I felt during that period can be attributed to just poor sleep quality and just not being able to sleep, because I'm in this constant like emotional suffering. It's hard to relax and calm down and sleep. And to be alone is painful. Like when you're hanging out with other people, your friends, you're doing activities and you're talking and it distracts you from the pain. So being in solitude is very painful in the beginning, right after a breakup, but it's also necessary, because the stronger that suffering is, the deeper the transformation can be. So right now, if you're feeling that pain, if you're going through it at this moment, just realize that this pain is the path to something better. I think there's a quote from the Stoic guy, something about like the obstacle is the way, the pain is the way. I know it feels negative, it hurts, it's bad, it's uncomfortable. Lean into that. And soon you will discover that a lot of life is very similar to this. You should do things that scare you. You should do things that are uncomfortable. You should get used to it, to doing things that are uncomfortable and painful. It's so counterintuitive to say that suffering is good because suffering leads to growth. Suffering leads to profound change. It can. Suffering can also destroy you. You could not recover. So that there is a danger in too much suffering. I think people are stronger than they realize, because this is one of those things like breakups. When you love a woman and she leaves you, it hurts like nothing else. It's such a unique experience because it's not physical pain, and it's like it's out of your control. You can't force someone to be with you. It's such a hopeless despair type of suffering. It's like a grief. It's like when someone dies, it's a family member you really love dies. It's a similar pain to that. And as uncomfortable and painful as it is, you need to realize that this is a catalyst for change. So this is the silver lining. Yes, this sucks, but the harder it sucks, the better it will be in the long run, because the better you will be from that when you rebound. It's kind of like dopamine. Like you take a cold shower, it lowers your dopamine, and then when it rebounds, it goes higher than baseline. And that is actually, this is a great quick tip. If you're feeling amotivated, like you are procrastinating doing something, the reason you're procrastinating is because of your dopamine levels. Usually you procrastinate by raising your dopamine with cheap, easy dopamine hits. Like you might smoke a cigarette, you might drink coffee, you might scroll on social media. This is the worst thing you can do. It'll prolong the procrastination. What you should do is the opposite of higher dopamine, which is you need to lower your dopamine by doing something hard, something that you feel is worse than the work. So if you have a task to do and you're procrastinating it, do some different task or a different activity that is harder and more uncomfortable. And then by comparison, the task will be fun and easy. So take a cold shower, which is very uncomfortable, and then you'll feel the higher dopamine, and that will motivate you to do whatever task you're procrastinating. Another reason why solitude is so useful is that solitude forces you to reflect. One of my favorite quotes that I heard from a YouTuber, and I'm sure he read it in a book or something, is a man is most useful when he is alone because he reflects more. So solitude enables self-reflection. And self-reflection is one of the keys to growth and transformation. Use solitude to self-reflect. A lot of guys, maybe they'll go into solitude, or maybe they're just alone by not, I think of solitude as voluntary alone time. If it's involuntary, if you'd rather not be alone, it's not solitude. Solitude has like a neutral or positive connotation, whereas loneliness is just negative. So being alone doesn't mean you're lonely. Being in solitude means you're alone and you're doing deep inner work. You could be alone in solitude, and if you're just watching mindless content, even if you're watching videos like this, which are educational and can help your life, if you're not actually doing the things I'm telling you, like meditating, journaling, and really going deep into your own psyche and getting to know yourself and who you are, the solitude isn't going to do you much help. It's not going to hurt you. All the negative things in life happen from outside, from society, from other people. Everything negative happens from other people. So just by being in solitude, you're taking away everything negative. But now you also want to add positive things. So that's where the self-improvement habits, gratitude journaling, meditation, fasting, and exercise in nature. So when you're with other people and you're just living your life, doing things, running errands, or hanging out with others, you don't have to face yourself. You don't have to face your demons because you're distracted by the external world. Solitude helps you focus on the internal world, which is where transformation happens. It's where growth happens. It's a mindset shift from external to internal. This is what happened to me. My entire life, my entire marriage, it was all externally focused. All I'm worried about is appearances, like clothes, how much money I make, how many women and how beautiful are the women around me, how cool are my friends, how many friends do I have, what kind of car do I drive. Like everything is externally focused. And my own growth and self-transformation happened when I focused on the internal and just disregarded the external. So solitude is the key to the perspective shift from external to internal world. Because in solitude, you have to face yourself. This is why being sober is necessary for this transformation. You can't be numbing yourself with substances. That includes casual sex, as well as alcohol and drugs, all that stuff. Cigarettes. I remember my first breakup with my first girlfriend. just became addicted to cigarettes because I was stress smoking so much. But you really need to get rid of all that stuff in order to really focus in on yourself and reflecting on yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, who you are. You have to face it and you have to see the truth of everything. Whatever you've been repressing, whatever you've been hiding and trying not to think about, you need to explore every little crevice of your psyche and really get to know yourself. This is why studying philosophy and psychology can aid in this tremendously. For me and for a lot of people, the most popular are Carl Jung and Nietzsche for philosophy. Those two men, especially Nietzsche, helped me discover who I am and helped me realize the benefits of solitude. When you read philosophy, a lot of philosophers talk about solitude and how crucial it is for growth and for developing yourself as a man. And just reading about the benefits of fasting made me want to start fasting. Reading about the benefits of exercise made me want to exercise, like start doing cardio, because I used to only do weightlifting. And reading about the benefits of solitude made me want to try it and really envelop myself in my own world. So reflection in solitude is key. Daily meditation practice, 10 minutes a day of meditation, pretty easy to do. It sounds easy actually, but it's kind of hard to do consistently. I did 66 days in a row of meditation every single day without skipping a day. Also with gratitude journaling, I linked those two habits. Makes it easier to do both if you just do them, combine them. Another one I linked was early wake up, cold shower, and then gratitude journaling and meditation. Like just doing all of them in a row made it more of a habit. But yeah, I read somewhere that doing something 66 days in a row is what builds a habit, which is funny because 66 is one of my favorite numbers. Next, let's talk about self-reliance. Self-reliance is probably the thing I'm most grateful for developing. Previously, in my 12-year marriage, I was highly dependent and reliant on my wife for basic things like laundry, booking flights, paying bills. A lot of the times I would just let her, because she used to be an administrative assistant and she likes doing this kind of stuff, so I just offloaded any kind of trivial tasks to her and I became very dependent on her. But that's just for like day-to-day stuff. I became dependent on her emotionally. This is the main thing. I was truly reliant on her for my emotional needs. I was not whole. I was not complete in myself. I needed her. I needed this other person to make me feel good, to make me feel happy. And if she didn't make me feel good and happy, I blamed her and there was arguments. So this is a terrible way to live your life, is to rely on someone else for your emotional needs, for your basic daily needs. Self-reliance is absolutely mandatory as a man. You need to be self-reliant, because how can other people rely on you if you aren't self-reliant, if you don't rely on yourself? Solitude helps you build that inner strength that no external relationship or situation can provide. This is coming from within. It can't be taken from you. If you rely on money, if you rely on your spouse, your girlfriend or whatever, if you rely on your job, if you rely on anything external, all of that stuff is out of your control essentially, and it can be taken from you. If you rely on things that are internal to you, if you build inner strength through deep inner work and suffering, this cannot be taken. And it gives you this sense of power, so underrated. Self-reliance, independence, not needing other people. This is so huge. As a man, you need to build self-reliance, and you build it through deep inner work in solitude. When you spend enough time alone in solitude, you realize you don't need other people to make you whole. You realize that true happiness, true fulfillment, and true power comes from within. It doesn't come from something else. You get your strength from yourself. You don't need to drive a Rolls Royce and have a mansion and a beautiful woman by your side to feel confident and strong and happy and fulfilled. You don't need anything external. It's all inside of you. And that's true power. That's true strength. You don't need external validation. You validate yourself internally because you're proud of who you are, because you do daily actions that support this identity, that build yourself, that builds you as a man. So instead of trying to be perceived as a high value man by other people, you actually become someone of high value, high internal value that doesn't need outside approval or validation from anyone else. You are your own judge of your worthiness. And if you're doing the daily work that makes you proud of yourself, you will approve and validate yourself through the work. You don't need women to validate you. You don't need your friends or society to say, oh yes, you're doing good job, or no, don't do that, bad job. You are your own judge. You are your own best friend, your own critic, your own mentor. And this comes from respecting yourself and loving yourself. Hold on, there's some light. All right, I think I fixed it. I probably had like a light on my ear or at the top of my head for a while. I hope it wasn't distracting. Anyway, final section, let's talk about transformation. So transformation, it's kind of the point of solitude, is to transform yourself. Use solitude as a way to transform into a better version of yourself. I'm still getting hit by this light. Maybe if I lean back, this is tough. My blinds have like holes in them, so it goes through. Okay, I think that's better. So the pain you're experiencing, it's not meant to break you, it's meant to make you stronger. When no one else is around, when you have nothing there but yourself, that's where the growth happens. That's when you start to grow, whether you like it or not. In solitude, in the pain, in the fire, in the suffering, alone. Suffer in silence, alone. That is how you evolve into a better man. So stop seeing your breakup as a loss and start seeing it as the reason for your growth. Start seeing it as the beginning of your transformation. All right, so let's recap. Yes, solitude is painful after a breakup. It's not painful right now. I'm years removed from my breakup, and now solitude is just purely peace, enjoyment, and fulfillment. Being alone is when I feel the most at home, the most at peace, the most tranquil, the most able to ponder my life, self-reflect, consider my next moves, and just exist. I love just existing and thinking and reading and writing and meditating. All of these activities that you do when you're alone that you can't do when other people are around, these are the fulfilling activities. These are the free and fulfilling activities. It costs nothing to sit in silence and meditate, and it's like the best thing you can do for your mental health. Solitude forces you to confront yourself so you can grow and become self-reliant. And remember, there are no shortcuts here. You have to go through it to become better. You have to go through the pain, the suffering. You have to face your demons. You have to look deep within yourself in order to come out better. But if you can commit to this, if you can commit to solitude and self-improvement habits, you will be amazed at what you're capable of. You will start to see your true potential in this life. My ambitions and where I think my life is going are completely different than they used to be. I used to think, oh, I want to become relatively rich and have a nice, easy life of pleasure and comfort and enjoying myself. Being on a beach with a bunch of beautiful women, that'll make me happy. That's what I want. My current understanding of where my life is headed is astronomically different from that. I don't even want to tell you what I think is going to happen. It sounds a little crazy, but I guess I'll tell you. I think we won't be human for much longer. I think AI is advancing exponentially. And the only way to not be annihilated by a super intelligent entity that is not us is for us to merge with that entity. There's already 2 people with Neuralink devices implanted in their brains that work. So we have the technology, we have a brain machine interface that works. It's only going to get better and better. And when that brain machine interface, when it augments your brain as a tertiary layer, and it's an advanced AI system, and you are truly a cyborg with super intelligence, I think that is the realization of Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch. There are so many men right now who are waking up early and doing habits that build themselves, and they are rejecting modern conveniences, modern comforts and pleasures in favor of building true inner strength, reading, learning, getting smarter, getting stronger, getting more capable. And if you're doing these things, it'll only be augmented and accelerated by AI in the very near future. And this will all culminate to us becoming godlike creatures, which Nietzsche predicted and called the Übermensch. But that is neither here nor there. But this just goes to show that through solitude, through inner world building and self-reflection, you start to ascend, like spiritually, mentally. You have like a more lofty sense of self, a more lofty sense of like, I'm like a god. I am a part of the universe, and I think the universe is God, and I'm a part of God, and so are you. We're all part of God. So we're all divine beings. We're all divine beings of light and love, essentially. But we have this ego, which our ego is a tool. It allows us to interact with and live in the physical material world. So we need our ego. without our ego, we're just this like infinite, chaotic consciousness. But yeah, getting a little bit off course here. If you're going through a breakup and you need one-on-one coaching, you need me to give you advice and guidance specific to your unique circumstances, I will have a link in the description. It might be an email. I'm still setting up the link for the coaching. The coaching is like a 1 hour FaceTime call for 4 weeks, and you pay for it monthly. And yeah, that's it for this video. Like and subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you agree with. If you disagree with something, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.